Okay, so now we come to the reflective authoring and future authoring. Just a quick note, just to check in. How are you going with the distractions? How are you going with not veering off into social media, keeping the tabs closed, keeping your phone on the other side of the room? How is it? Has it been difficult? Have you been wanting to get away? Have you found me to be difficult to listen to at times, a bit boring at times? I hope not. I'm trying to keep the energy up, always, as always. Stay with me. If you've come this far, you've done very well. So, reflective authoring questions. These are to be answered after you have finished writing all of your autobiography. What has it been like to write this autobiography? What feelings have you experienced while writing this autobiography? You'll notice when you write about significant events in detail, you will be reliving them and you will feel them in your body. What kind of reaction do you think your family and friends and the people mentioned in this story, in this writing, would have if they read this story? Would they be interested? Would they be not interested? Would they be surprised to hear some of the things you've said about them or not? At what points in your life do you wish you could go back and change things, or to impart wisdom and information to your younger self? So this is the concept we talked about of the Russian dolls, where you have the layers within the layers. What would you go back to your younger self and say? What would you say to that person in their mid-20s, that person in their late 30s? Particularly in the younger person, what would you say to that person in the early teenage years? And there might be specific events or relationships or things you didn't know, you simply didn't know at the time that you wish you did know. Considering all the stories you have written here, what kind of person do you see yourself as? What do you feel is important for you as a person? So this really makes you reflect on your values, which should be clear to you by now, by what sort of life you have lived. Now we have a present check-in. How do you feel right now? So you're to do these reflective questions in order. How do you feel right now? And actually we can do this right now. Notice how you feel right now. How does it feel to listen to me? Can you notice how the sensations in your body are right now as I explain this to you? Yeah? Remember, how do you feel right now is always a reminder for whoever's saying it and whoever's present in the moment. How do you feel right now? Now, moving on, and we're going to a little bit of the future authoring here. What do you still hope to discover and experience before you die? What do you still want to do with your life? So these are the things that you wished you had done, which you haven't done, and you still hope to do and still can do. What kind of person would you like to be from now on? How would you like to relate to others? How would you like to think and feel about yourself? How would you like to think and feel about life? Next question. How much longer do you sense you have left to live? And what is it like for you to reflect on the fact that one day you will have to face your own death? Now, depending on what age you are, we don't know. I mean, any age you are, we don't know. Life is a mystery. We don't know. Tragedy does happen. We never know how much longer we have to live. Yeah? But if you're older, if you're in your late 80s, you're not going to live that much longer, yeah? You are at the twilight years. If you're in your mid-20s, then it might be you have quite a lot long to live, yeah? If you're living a healthy life and staying safe, then it might be that you sense, yeah, I actually do have a lot to live, but there's a lot that I want to do. How do I feel about the fact? How is it for me to sense that I am not going to be here forever. It might be that it's hard for you to sense that. Yes, when you're very old, it's very easy to sense, my body's breaking down and I'm not going to be here forever. You can sense it easily. But to have the intelligence, the maturity to sense that long before your body is breaking down, knowing, I'm not going to be here forever. And also without having that as a urgency, still going about things with grace and a patience and an understanding. Yeah. So this is where we're really connecting into where you feel you're at, how old you are, and how you're living your life. This is really the nuts and bolts of this process. Now, we come to a very powerful reflecting question. This is a very deep question. Listen carefully to this. What do you need to do or say in order to have a feeling of completion? What is it going to take for you to make peace with all that you are, all you have done, and all you have experienced? So that is a very heavy question, and it's going to take all of what you've written in your autobiography to answer that. You might have outstanding things that you need to say to people, outstanding things that you need to do, outstanding things you need to face within yourself, feelings or experiences or memories, things you want to arrive at within yourself. And you do whatever it takes. When you answer this question, it's very empowering because you know exactly what you need to do. You know exactly what is happening for you and your next step to take. So that's the reflective authoring. And then we come to the final reflection. So this is another major section. So this is the sort of the cherry on the pie, the capstone, the crown jewel sort of thing. Final reflection. In 200 words or less, write a declaration of who you are, all you have experienced, and all you understand about life and all that is. It must be concise, heartfelt, and deeply resonant, utilizing all your awareness, self-knowledge, and intelligence. It may be poetic and prayerful, using the most powerful language you can to express your deepest and highest self. So this would be where you can reference your significant events in life and declare the things that you have found to be true about yourself and about the world, and you do it in such a way that it is resonating with the deepest of your intention and awareness and intelligence and everything that you've got, right? So you're bringing it all together into this peak, and it's 200 words or less, very small. Yeah, it should only take you about 5 minutes to read it out loud. Yeah, and it's sort of like a declaration or a poem about this is who I am. This is all that I've learnt. And it will be tricky to get it concise. You'll have to find that you have to think of events and say, how do you do it in just a moment? And it's very powerful to be able to do this. Very powerful indeed. So that's the process. For the record, I have done this process. I have done it multiple times. I do have my autobiography, which I wrote as a book. It's called Encountering Glory. It was 150 something pages long. It's 110,000 words. It covers my full life story from birth up to a certain point. And I also have a reflective statement, which I might share with you as a bonus. So it's incredible to go through this process. You have no idea how much you have lived, how much you are, what sort of person you are until you sit down and actually look at yourself. You learn so much about what you want, why things happen, why you reacted the way you did, why you had the feelings you did, why you went the certain places that you did. You know, there's this huge, grand story which is the story of your life. And anyone who does this, anyone, ends up with beauty, with gratitude, with just sitting back and thinking, wow, what a life, what an incredible collection of experiences, what an amazing way to be. It's just like, it brings tears to my eyes, right? It's an incredible thing. So very great to have you along this process. Now, of course, the work starts, because this explanation here, it takes less than 2 hours to go through it, right? It's going to take you, it took me 6 months to write my autobiography, the most recent time that I did it. I have done it multiple times. But the work is doing a little bit each day, and spend a year on it. Spend time on it. It might be that you get sucked into it and you're doing a lot of it, depending on how much spare time you have. Now, how much spare time you have for this says something about where you're at with your life. It says something about how chapters are unfolding for you, how your intelligence is unfolding, how your sense of self is, what it is that you're prioritizing, yeah? It might be that you're working too much and you don't have time for this sort of thing. It might be that you've left your job because you want to find yourself. So you're doing this in order to find yourself, and that's why you left your job, and that's why it's become important. It becomes very important when you do this. So just do a little bit each day, and you'll be in the habit, and you'll get into a flow, you'll get into a rhythm, and you'll remember things, right? It might be that you're sort of writing a little bit, and then you go off, you do some shopping or you do some chores or something, and you remember, yeah, I remember that thing at that time, and then you'll go back and you'll add it. So it's a bit of a process, and take your time with it, yeah? It could take 6 months to a year to really finish this, but you'll be very much glad you did, and you'll learn so much about yourself. You'll integrate such a vastness of experience. You will be bursting with gratitude, with love, with understanding, with your uniqueness, with your beauty, with your individuality, yeah? Even with all the bad stuff that's happened, even with the bad stuff that's happened, you integrate those experiences, and you be grateful for who you are, for having come to this planet, for having lived this life. What a gift! I feel so grateful for having lived this life, for having been given this life. So that's the course. Have fun with it. Good luck with it. It is a lot of work, but now you have no excuses. It's all laid out for you systematically. All you have to do is download the Word document and answer right underneath each question. Very grateful to have you along for the ride. Hope you're staying safe, feeling the love, keeping it real. Please do leave a 5-star review. That's a big help for me. And I'll be back very soon with more. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can always check out my other courses as well. So thank you very much. Talk to you soon.